I'm Wendy Kay of the Empaths, Ascension, and Psychic Stuff community, and I'm so glad you've chosen or have been guided to listen to one of our community shows. By continuing to listen, you agree to the terms found at wendyswisdom.ca/terms. Hi everyone. Over the weekend, I did a channeled message for the members of the Empaths, Ascension, and Psychic Stuff community. That is my patron community. If you're interested in becoming a patron and joining the community, you can go to patreon.com/Wendy Kay. That's patreon.com/WENDYKAY. One of the things that this divine being of light shared with us in that channeled message was that there was going to be a lot of testing that was going to be happening for people. This testing, of course, is going to be unique to each person. A few weeks ago, or maybe even a couple of months ago, I had one of my own spirit guides come through and tell me the exact same thing. He said that I was going to start to have some weird things happen, and it was going to be some testing that was going on. To be honest, when I'm told something from any guide, I usually just semi-ignore it. Usually, I end up writing it down in my diary, and then I just forget about it. One thing that I have certainly discovered over the years is that when they tell you something is happening in spirit, or if they don't actually tell you it's happening in spirit, you can pretty much assume they're giving you the timing that is related to something happening in spirit. So when something happens in spirit or manifests in spirit, it doesn't mean that it is manifesting in the physical realm just yet. It has to filter through the different levels of spirit before it gets to physical. So they can tell you something and it could take weeks, months, or even years to manifest at the physical level. So over the years, I have learned to just take what they say, write it down, and not to focus on it too much, because I know that down the road, it's going to happen at some point, and then that message will come back into my mind. So even though I shared this channeled message with members of the community, I certainly wasn't confident that people were going to start to see testing happening right away. After all, like I said, a couple of months ago, I was told the same thing, and it still hadn't manifested for me. I hadn't seen any testing since the time I was given the message for me. My focus for the last few months has really been on resting and letting them do whatever work they needed to do. I'm sure a lot of you have been feeling the effects of the work that has been done on you, and if your energy is fragile, I am sure that you have been feeling pretty tired. This testing seems to indicate that we're getting closer to completion and all of the energy changes that need to be done. This past weekend, I became extremely tired, which is the norm nowadays, so I just lay down to rest for a while. I didn't feel like listening to music. I didn't want to watch any television. I didn't even have it in me to read a book. I was almost feeling exhausted, and it wasn't like this was anything unusual, as I'd been feeling this way for the last few weeks. I spent a lot of afternoons resting, and most of the time I could tell when they were working on my energy. Even if I tried to meditate, absolutely nothing was happening. So I certainly wasn't expecting anything to happen when I meditated this past weekend. To my surprise, I found myself going out of body quite easily. It was a subconscious out of body. I didn't really astral travel and go all over the place. I was just in my subconscious, and I knew I was. What I discovered, though, was something interesting was happening in my subconscious. Normally, when I've been going out of body into my subconscious, I'm in the same room as the room I'm in when I'm meditating. However, this time, I was in this really, really large room that was quite empty. There were these workers that were doing different things in this room. This is a subconscious out of body. So this area, may have represented my current state of mind. And it could show, okay, don't laugh, but it could show that at this point my mind is quite empty. So all of the things from the past are gone, and now I'm ready to fill up this space with some new adventures. Now, that is just a guess. This could simply be a different part of my subconscious that is now being worked on and that is available for me to fill up with all kinds of new stuff. It definitely showed that they're still doing work. As I glanced around the room, I looked over and I saw my sister carrying a rather large birthday cake. It was one of those huge, full slab cakes that was rectangular in shape. And if I remember correctly, I think it just had one candle that was placed in the middle of it. She was heading over to a set of reddish pinky doors. When I saw her, I ran over to open the doors for her because she had her hands full with the cake. The doors actually looked like a wall of paneling, and I didn't see any doorknobs on it. I tried to push on the door, thinking it was one of those magnetic clasps so that when you push on it, it automatically opens, but it didn't. And actually, all of these doors, or this door, looked like paneling on a wall. So you wouldn't actually see that it was a door unless you knew it was there. To be honest, I don't know why I knew it was a door, but I just assumed it was, ran over and pushed on it, and didn't get any results. I then decided to try something different. I tried to pry it open. I took my fingers and I tried to get them in between the door and the wall or the other door that was next to it, but that didn't work. Then I looked down and suddenly this gold doorknob appeared. So then I was able to just open the door. As soon as the door opened, I could see a set of stairs in front of me. I started to walk up the stairs, and I didn't get too far before realizing that they weren't finished. There were only about 10 steps, and then it didn't seem to go anywhere at all. I remember laughing about it and turning to my sister and saying, "Hey, maybe we just have to jump off the end of the stairs to see where it goes. Maybe it's like a leap of faith." Now, at that point, I heard a man's voice say, "This is a test." And then that was the end of the out of body. I opened my eyes and I was back in my own room. Now, of course, it's perfectly normal when you're going out of body to have spirit guides that are watching over you even if you can't see them. They quite often interrupt whatever it is you're doing in order to tell you things or share information, even when you can't see them. So hearing the man say this is a test wasn't anything unusual. It was one of my spirit guides giving me some information. I then started to review the out of body, and a couple of things came to mind. First of all, I thought that the birthday cake was probably significant in some way, and it might represent the beginning of something new. So it could be the beginning of the rebirth, or it could be a celebration of everything being finished. I really didn't know what that represented, but the fact that there was a 1 in the cake indicated it was probably new beginnings of something. Maybe my sister was bringing a cake for a party. I do remember that I had a meditation in March of 2020 where I was at a party and there were a lot of people celebrating. One of my higher level guides put his arm around my shoulders and he was smiling and he was very, very happy. This was confusing to me because he had never done anything like that before, and I asked him what was going on. What was the celebration all about? And he said it was my party because I was completed. Now, as I said, that was in March of 2020, and we are now in June of 2022. So, of course, what he was telling me was manifesting in spirit at that time. And so far, it has not manifested. But maybe what I saw had something to do with completion, and that manifesting in physical is getting really, really close. Now, you might be thinking, wow, 2 years, that's a long time before something manifests. Actually, it's not a long time. That's one of the shorter time periods. A lot of stuff takes years to manifest. I haven't actually gone in to ask any questions to my spirit guides or teachers about what that whole scenario represented. I've just been too tired and going through other things, so I'm just not in the mood, frankly, to go in to get more information. I'm sure that the red pinky doors are very significant. Maybe it has something to do with the heart chakra. It could have something to do with the Divine Virgin Mother Mary because her color is actually red and she is responsible for the project of the Golden Kingdom Earth. So maybe that has something to do with the coloring of the doors. Obviously, the fact that the stairs are not complete shows that whatever it represents isn't fully complete. It didn't really lead anywhere yet. So when it is complete, it will be really interesting to see what it leads to. Now, the one thing that I do know is that this was a test because I was told it was a test. I was really happy that this test had happened because, like I said, I was told weeks or a month ago or a couple of months ago that testing was going to take place, but nothing had happened up to that point. And I was really happy that I'm seeing testing taking place because the message for the members of the Empaths, Ascension, and Psychic Stuff community told them that there was going to be testing taking place. So if I'm seeing the testing taking place, I'm guessing that there are going to be people within the member community that are actually going to start to see some testing taking place. It's going to be unique for each person, of course. So some people might see it faster than others, and some may have to wait a while before they see any testing take place. So later that night, I went to sleep, and I actually had a really, really restless sleep that night. I didn't get a lot of sleep. But there was one point where I had a dream, and just before I woke up, I had a very clear moment or lucid dream where I was in my bedroom and I looked over and I saw a speaker. Now, I heard a man talking, and his voice came out of the speaker, and he said something like, "This is a test at 124," and that was really all I heard. When I woke up, I thought 124, well, maybe that's the time that he was doing the test, or maybe it was the duration of the test. That's how long it was taking. But I have to say that while I was actually writing out this show, I was writing down what he had said, and it suddenly occurred to me that 124 is my address, and that he was probably saying that he was doing a test at 124, which is my address. This guy who came through on the speaker wasn't actually speaking to me. It was more like he was talking to somebody else. It's like when you're on the phone and you hear this voice come through where you get crossed wires and all of a sudden you hear somebody else's voice come through. They're not talking to you, they're just talking. That's what it was like, but it was very clear. Now, I don't know what it was that they were testing. I'm gathering because it was a speaker, it had something to do with hearing spirit or hearing some kind of communication. What really made me happy is that this was the second test in less than 24 hours. So there is obviously a lot of testing going on. Really pay attention to how you feel and pay attention to the different experiences that you might be having. If you are being connected or have been connected to the Golden Kingdom Earth, you are most likely going to experience some of these tests. And those tests are going to vary depending on the level that you're at. So everybody's tests are going to be different. If you happen to notice that you're going through some testing experiences, make sure to post it in the Empaths, Ascension, and Psychic Stuff community. I'd love to hear what others are going through in terms of their testing. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed today's show, please make sure to follow and share it with others so that they can get the information as well. Also consider becoming a patron by joining the Empaths, Ascension, and Psychic Stuff community at patreon.com/Wendy Kay. That's patreon.com/WENDYKAY. I'm Wendy Kay, and remember to live and breathe in divine love energy.